Welcome to the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase podcast. It's a limited series for the Echo Community Podcast Network by Story Studio Network and Clark Communications. We highlight the influential voices, partners, and leaders who are driving innovation, research, and development, creating new market opportunities and new ways of doing business in the mining industry.
My name is Manish Agarwal, and I work with Rep Giwaydin Security Incorporated.
And what is it your specialty is in terms of that level of security?
Our specialty is we provide physical security guards to mines, northern work camps, community reserves in Northwestern Ontario.
And this is Indigenous owned?
Female Indigenous owned, yes.
Okay, so I mean, March, I just realized, is the International Month of the Woman, so appropriate to be talking about that. To me, it's interesting to look at the way women have emerged in this sector. And I want to say it's almost an overnight success. And when I realize it's taken decades and decades to get this far.
I completely understand or agree with you. It seems like it was a boys' club for the longest time, and now there's so many scenarios where there's women in mining and so many support groups that we've noticed that our owner has been able to utilize and take advantage of to help grow that business, to grow the business.
Is your business specifically sort of focused regionally, or is there spots across the country?
We're regional. Yeah.
Here in Ontario?
Here in Ontario and specific Northwestern Ontario. We're based out of Thunder Bay. So we service anywhere from Wawa to the Manitoba border.
When you talk about the that level of work and that range of work that you're doing, how do you find in terms of capacity? Because I see there are mines coming and going. There's all kinds of activity going. So I imagine that it doesn't matter where I go. Capacity for employees is an issue.
It absolutely is a challenge in a lot of industries. You always see signs out front saying hiring now, or when you're walking in any business. We are kind of in a beneficial scenario where we don't have that challenge. We sent something out there very recently that we're looking for work to get ready for our busy summer season, and we ended up with over 70 resumes.
So what makes for a busy summer season? Why would you have, is it cyclical like that for you?
Yes, it's cyclical for sure. A lot of the contracts that we've done previously are, I guess, you need the better weather for them, whether that's construction projects or special events, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the next phase of our company is to get into the mining sector, and then obviously that's year-round work.
And so this is the new part of the business?
Yes. So it's a joint venture with Rep Security. Rep Security's been around for 10 years. Rep Giwaydin is now 3 years old, almost. And we realized that we were kind of missing out on a huge portion of potential work for us by not having the ability to bid on some of these contracts, because a lot of these mining contracts and contracts with them in the region for like closer to the communities, you need to be Indigenous owned. So our owner, Ashley Johnson, we've actually worked together for almost 25 years, and we came up with this master plan to start a sister company and see if we can capitalize on some of that.
So being Indigenous owned gives some leverage in terms of being able to
absolutely
bid.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
They won't even allow you to bid on the contract if you're not Indigenous owned.
Yeah, I talked to somebody about that in the forestry sector a little while ago, and there was a variety of contracts, and when they put out an RSP, there's a certain check marks that you have to have, and that can be viewed as a positive. It can also be viewed as a checking the box negative, right?
Yes.
But I can see where, again, sort of start-up smaller firms are able to say, okay, this is our way in, because otherwise it would be difficult to land the work.
So I see that as a negative, that whole system where you're bidding on it and the check boxes.
Yeah.
Because when you get into those scoring systems, or the way it's scored, we're automatically excluded. We won't score enough points because of the size of our organization or the previous experience of our organization.
Right.
We're very competitive when it comes to pricing because we're smaller. We don't have the overhead of some of these huge conglomerates. But when they come in and they say, well, we've got 40 mines across the world, or we've got 15 mines in Ontario, and we're coming in and like, I've worked at mines, we've overseen the security at mines, but 2 or 3. And so they'll get the full points, the 20, 25 points on that, and we'll get 7 points. So we won't move on to the next stage. So we think it's actually a disadvantage for those scoring things to be the way they are.
So the actual including the requirement for Indigenous companies hurts or helps?
That helps.
Right.
But it's the scoring system that is put into place by especially actually government organizations when we're trying to bid on contracts for the provincial or federal government. A lot of it is based on previous experience, which precludes us based on how young we are and just the experience of some of these.
So the Indigenous ownership is not enough to overcome those.
Absolutely.
Got it.
That's correct.
And it's funny because I hate the phrase virtue signaling because I don't think it's fair, but there's a certain tone of that around it to say, I'm just doing the right thing here, man. I'm checking that box.
Yeah,
and I'm on my way, and it's not helping you at all.
It's not how they're. Well, we did our due diligence. We've
Right.
we've made it so it's easier for you to bid on it. We've invited you to the process.
Yeah.
We've done all the things we can do to kind of get you in, but then it's not enough, unfortunately.
So explain to me then, if you were talking about the criteria in terms of the security operation that you provide, is there something distinct and unique that you need in terms of skill set at a mine that you wouldn't need, say, at a forestry site?
I think just depending on the mine. No, I don't think there's anything more specific. Like, we have done jobs in the forestry sector as well. So we've had some work there. Everybody kind of requires your first responder, first aid training, and just all the general stuff. Some of the ones, actually, I'll take that back, in the mines, they want our staff to have alcohol and drug training, like screening training.
Right.
That's not necessarily something that's as required in forestry. So that's a big deal.
So is that something where you look at it and say, okay, if we were able to, add those skill set to our, our team, then we're more likely to be included?
Absolutely. We actually just bid on a contract last week. We're supposed to hear about it today, so today could be a big day for us.
Okay, well, here's hoping.
Here's hoping. And part of it was to have that training. So we've already initiated. We've got the training set up for later in March to have some of our staff trained to say, hey, we've already got this done. We've got some of our folks trained up. We can start sooner than later now.
I was talking to a crew out in Saskatchewan a couple of weeks ago, and we got into this conversation about, Indigenous requirements and so on in terms of procurement. And the question that was asked, and I think it was important and a simple one, is, so what is it you're trying to accomplish by having that criteria on, my procurement
to have
application?
The Indigenous business?
Whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
But that, in fact, being part of it. What are we trying to accomplish there? And does that mean because we're worrying about more jobs, or are we worrying about economic development? So there's a bigger questions here that I'm not sure that the submission application actually gets to.
No, exactly. And I think the goal there is reconciliation, where they're trying to give opportunity to these Indigenous businesses that didn't have that opportunity before. They would just go with whoever the biggest one is, whoever they know, the devil they know.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and now to make that change and potentially go with this younger, unknown security company, even though they're Indigenous owned, they're not really willing to take.
You're
that
still
chance.
othered.
We're still othered,
right?
And
Yeah.
it's.
So if the minister of the day was sitting here in front of you, what would be the your elevator pitch to say just do this and it would make life simpler and fairer?
We've actually had these conversations this is our third PDAC. We've gone to some other events in Thunder Bay and surrounding regions, and we've actually brought up that conversation with Patty Haidu and a couple of the other ones, and we just said, like, when it comes to those scoring systems, they're unfair for smaller, like medium-sized and smaller companies.
Yeah.
They're geared way more towards like huge conglomerates that have a team of 40 writing their proposals for them, when it's in our department it's
small and
3.
mighty. Yeah. Well, okay, but that's a good point though. Here we are. You've had the ear of the minister, and
so far nothing. But I know that type of change doesn't happen overnight. I know that there's especially when it comes to government work, there's a process, and what we deem as unfair right now, somebody else, if there's a change made, will deem that as unfair, right? So then some team of 30 government officials have to sit in a room together and come up with the master plan on what could be fair or what should be fair.
Well, you say that you've been at the PDAC events and some of the other, previous mining events over the last few years. So the idea that you getting into the mining sector it's not like it happened yesterday then.
No. Yeah, we've been considering this for a while. We actually, with the original company, thought about doing it, and we did attempt, but we were told we were precluded because we were not Indigenous owned. So now we've created this new division.
Now you're Indigenous owned, but you're too small and not experienced enough.
Small and inexperienced.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
talk about government getting in its own way. Really.
Yeah, just putting up walls everywhere. But I know at some point there'll be a breakthrough. We've got a pretty positive outlook.
So in the short to intermediate term, you're having to balance off the work that you are currently doing that keeps you lights on and business moving forward.
Yep.
What's the primary focus then? While you're waiting for mining to emerge as
primary focus, I get just exposure, continual exposure. We have done jobs. We did a job up in Ear Falls recently. We've done work in Long Lac. We've done work in Kenora with this new division. Mm-hmm. So we are growing, and the more jobs and the more exposure we can get, the better. Any publicity is good publicity, I suppose, as they say. And same thing like this, like the opportunity to be a part of this podcast is huge for us.
So if I wanted to be part of the team and provide that security, what do you need of me?
How do you mean? Sorry.
Well, I'm going to send you you said you've got jobs, so
for sure.
What would you need of me to be part of a team that would land?
What we're looking for is obviously somebody with previous security experience is great, but we understand that a lot of the people that are going to be applying might be new to Canada, might be new to the industry. As long as they have great communication skills, patience, their security nowadays isn't what it used to be. I've been doing security for, I want to say 25 or 26 years, and that bouncer mentality where you're going to...
Right.
That doesn't exist anymore, no. Right? Like where guys would open the door with
too many iPhones around the video.
Exactly. And the last thing we need, like we're too small.
Yeah.
We couldn't have somebody take a video of one of our guys, so we drill it into them, like just be professional all the time. We're not going to be wrestling with people, like just be smart.
So is there an intention there? We talked about First Nations being a criteria in terms of procurement. Is there a place where you would give preference to having the First Nations and Indigenous applicants?
100%.
Yeah.
So part of our mandate is if and when we do get a contract close to one of these communities, we would reach out to the community to say, hey, listen, we're working in your area. If you have any applicants that might be interested in working with us, we would love it. Our owner, Ashley, actually is from Pick River First Nation, and she had to leave Pick River to come to Thunder Bay to go to school. So she knows firsthand leaving her home community, leaving her family, leaving her friends to kind of better herself because the schooling wasn't available where she was. She had to go somewhere else.
So would you help facilitate the skill development if I...
Absolutely, yeah. We're willing to assist with offering the security guard training course, any first aid CPR training or first responder training, any kind of...
A whole valuable skill. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely, right? It's all helpful, and these are transferable to other... If somebody gets this and I don't really want to do security work, because it's definitely not for everybody, they can move on and they can transfer those skills to the next...
Yeah. That's a good story. Well, I hope you get good news then later today.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We might be celebrating later tonight.
But we'll see. Yeah, that's good. Listen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase podcast. The series is produced for the Echo Community Podcast Network by Story Studio Network and Clark Communications. For more information, visit our website, northbayecho.ca.